right, folks. Happy, I think, Thursday. Happy Thursday. We're in Arkadelphia, Arkansas, and we're in a very nice coffee slash cafe here. I've got what the name of it is. It's Java Prima. So we just dropped the Hemi off over here at Kuntz Performance, and Brad took us on an awesome tour. You're going to see that on this video. Did not realize that Kuntz Performance did as much as they do. So they do a lot of, they do all the brands, of course, but they do a lot of Gen 3 Hemi support stuff. So if you want to order a block, you want to order a rotating assembly, heads, cam, I mean, they're a one-stop shop. So it's great to know. They have two dynos. The second dyno sale's not done yet, but they've got the Hemi over there setting the coupling up, or an adapter on the bell housing right now. So tomorrow morning we're going to be there right around probably 9, but that's all going to be consolidated onto this video. As of right now, we're doing this. Don't know what that Hemi is going to do, folks. I have no idea. But you know, if something's wrong, if something goes bad, we're just going to pull it back apart and make it right. So that's part of the learning process on this stuff. But they showed us the stand, the adapter on their new cell. It's going to be up and running here probably in a couple weeks. They can adapt, run any engine you want on there. So you want to run a small or big block Mopar on that thing, they can run BOP, Buick Olds Pontiac, of course any of the Fords, Windsors, FEs, probably Lima series. So really a very, very cool shop, and they've got some impressive engines there on the dyno. And they took us through the whole build process. So I hope everybody gets something out of this. We've got a cabin. We're staying here in Arkadelphia tonight, and we're going to enjoy this beautiful area of Arkansas. But yeah, you're going to see some really cool stuff on this video that we recorded, and then of course tomorrow we're going to video the Hemi, whether it passes, fails, hopefully it doesn't make a mess in the dyno cell, and we're going to see what happens. So I'm going to drink this cappuccino, and hope everybody has a good day. So here we go.
I ordered some adapter rings.
Like or is that for like a pilot for your coupling?
Yeah, this I can show you. This.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
It's got a center of that bell housing over that, and so you've got these different rings.
Oh yeah.
And like that one's marked Mopar, but I'm not sure that it'll fit yours.
This in the Terminator. This references this part number for the map sensor.
Mm-hmm.
Every time we would go in and do the wizard and try to say, okay, yeah, this is the map sensor we're using, all it'd do is fire up and die. It would not run with that. So I had to run it with the 1 bar on the terminal. Then it ran fine, but maybe Aaron can figure it out.
Yeah, he can troubleshoot that stuff for you.
Oh.
This is our test head for the.
Oh, you got Gen 3 Hemi head.
Yeah, we developed a couple of CNC programs. I've got
very cool.
A street port and then a drag port.
Now, is this an Eagle?
This is an Eagle.
Okay, that's what I have on there.
I do have an Apache program also.
Nice. Okay.
But we used on our big drag port. We actually used Apache intake valves.
Wow.
And then
you can tell a huge difference on that.
Yeah, it's a pretty big port, and that nice. Port flows in the mid 360s.
Very nice.
And then we have it where we can run a Apache exhaust, but you have to change the exhaust seat.
Okay.
So I can run what we did on the last engine was turn the Apache exhaust a little bit down.
Okay.
And then ran it. So I do have that CNC
very
program.
Nice. 360. That's
and
that's plenty for.
And anyway, we keep a library of all the ports we've developed.
Tons
of recent history.
Very nice. That's so nice to see y'all are doing some Gen 3 Hemi stuff.
This is our our new dyno cell, I wish we'd had it together because it would have simplified the, they're just getting everything wired up.
Yeah, I see the.
Together, but this, it has a universal.
Oh, wow. Very
housing,
nice.
and the starter is built into the drive line, so you don't have to worry about.
So I'm sorry, honey. Does this accepts? Obviously, this is probably is this a big block Chevy or?
This is a small block Ford here.
Small block Ford. Okay, I should have looked into. Yeah. Okay, I didn't have a distributor here. Okay, yeah, there's your distributor. So this is a Ford. So obviously Ford, Chevrolet.
Yeah, and it's basically made where it'll accept just about any.
So you put a Mopar on this? So
Yes.
awesome. So you got small and big block Chrysler for this?
Yes.
Wow. Very nice.
Of course, they make this piece where you can have different
I love that.
bell housings on the back, but this setup is a whole lot more modular than the
Yes.
old 901,
Yeah.
and it relieves you of the responsibility of having to have a starter and a flex blade, everything.
Love it. That is really nice. So we do a lot of BOP. We do a lot of Oldsmobile and Pontiacs.
Yeah.
So will this accept the BOP as well?
Mhm.
All right. Nice. So everybody, Pontiac, Oldsmobile customers, we can run your engines down here on these as well. Obviously, small block, big block Mopar, my Ford. Now on the Ford, you can run an FE on this, I'm assuming?
Yes.
Okay. So, Zach, FEs.
And the only limitation I've got on the Pontiac and the Oldsmobile stuff is my headers. I don't have V8 Pontiac or Oldsmobile headers, but that's not a big issue.
Right.
Sean
Okay.
goes right down the road from it.
Well, so a lot of our Pontiac and Oldsmobile engines, they're spicy. Let's say they're strokers or they're just. But a lot of those customers, they still want to run the manifolds. Can you run a manifold on?
Yeah, and it might actually be easier to adapt.
Okay.
Because we have to come out.
You have to come out
around the dyno itself.
Yeah.
And around this, so even with exhaust manifolds, it
maybe a
might
little bit
be
easier.
easier than trying to put a set of headers out of a car on here.
Because like the Pontiac we just did, the Pontiac heads kind of lay over, and the Ram Air exhaust manifolds, they hug. So that's that would probably be better.
Yeah.
But nice piece, very nice. Well, I really like this. These are two big throttle bodies with port fuel injection. That's really nice.
Yeah, that's an impressive small block.
Oh, I
It's
bet.
392 cubic inch out of a 302 based engine,
Wow.
and it made 905 on one.
900 horsepower. And what block is that? An SVO block or is it?
It's a Dart Iron Eagle.
Dark. Okay. Yeah. 900 out of that many cubes, and looks like that's y'all's heads.
That is our Kuntz Brodex Headhunter 15 degree head. That's just a flat top piston. It's got a 46 cc chamber,
Damn.
and this is actually a drag wheel style engine.
Yeah.
So it's 14-1.
Damn. That is impressive. That is extremely impressive. Wow. All right, Zach. You tell the LS guys back there in Maybank, Texas, that 900 horsepower small block Ford. What we went to what 5,500?
Yeah, 5,500. All the wonderful things. So.
Now we already picked up 50. That's what I'm seeing. That's what I told her. I think it's cleaning up. 493.
It's gonna want to turn more RPM.
Yeah. Well, welcome back, folks. We finished up at the dyno yesterday, and it wasn't very much of a hoe party, sad to say, but ran into some issues. So that's why I'm sharing with this. So we got the engine down there. They got it hooked up there at Koontz Performance there in Arkadelphia. Aaron is, him and Brad, whole crew, I really appreciate everything they did. They stuck in with this thing. We did all kinds of things troubleshooting with this engine. But, long story short, we really didn't get to do much tuning. We fought oil pressure issues and injector issues. So, first run, he had to go in, before he could even run it, the injectors that we had were way off. I don't know if they were mislabeled when we got them, but this thing was dumping fuel into the cylinders. It was, you know, if I'd known, when I had my AFR set up on the test stand, it's just telling me the AFR on the little handheld. It's not really telling me a lot of when you go in with the laptop and talking to the Terminator what it's doing. But he had to scale those injectors back so much. We made some runs and it was very odd. So first run, he just kind of did up to 5,000 and it made 450. And I was like, oh. Of course, we had no timing. We didn't do anything. It was just a pull. Second pull, he runs it up and then we hit 510. I'm like, great. Awesome. However, we were noticing some weird things. It would shudder some when he would start loading the dyno. And then we started looking at the headers. He was taking temperature drops with the infrared. And we had a huge disparity on 3 of the cylinders. So after looking at it and running it and playing with it, we start looking at he gets a set of thick injectors from Thick. We get them scaled. He got the thermostat scaled now. The Mopar sensor, he figured that out. So we run the map. All that's great. Finally got the mixture in, well, close with the injectors. I'd say pretty close. Then, you know, we made several pulls, but we started noticing it still had 3 cylinders that just 3 of the plugs they're trash. Well, on the runs, we started noticing that it would get up in oil pressure, and you would go up to, I think this was, yeah, you look at this, something odd was going on our oil pressure. So you look at the RPMs, we get up to 72 pounds at 4,300, and then it drops, and then it comes back up to 83 at 5,300, hangs in a little bit, and then it starts dropping again at 5,800, and then it comes back up. It did this the whole time. It was like it was starving for maybe sucking the pan dry. I don't know. But there's an anomaly going on. When we rate these pulls, you can hear a little bit of valve train flutter, I think. Maybe it sounded really smooth, but it would get up to about, when it was cold, it ran better. When the engine was colder, it would run better. In other words, it was sensitive to oil temperature, believe it or not. We got it up to 516 at 5,500, and then it would just flatten out and then nose over. It was all over the place between 5,500, 5,800, 6,000. We couldn't figure out what was going on. Then it would go, I would say we would hit 515 on one of these, and then we would do a subsequent run on the dyno, and then it would drop down to 470 on a subsequent run. So couldn't figure out what was going on, and then it dropped again down to 430. And he said, hey, to lose that kind of horsepower from 516 down to 430, something's going on. He said the engine, I think, is getting tight. And well, we got a bearing going. We pulled the filter, used his opener, his filter opener, and it was clean as a whistle. Not one bit of sparkle, anything in that filter. So it felt good. I'm like, okay, whoo, we're out of the woods, right? Well, we're fighting this oil pressure issue going up and down, and finally it was just sitting there idling, and we heard it ticking really bad on the driver's side bank, and then we killed it. And then we turned the motor over with the transducer to the terminator and his manual gauge. We had 0 oil pressure. So our day was done. So we got 2 issues going on with this engine. We got something going on. Trish and I are about to disassemble this engine. This engine should have made close to 600 horsepower. Its sister engine made 620. So I'm going to say half of this is self-inflicted by me. I missed some things. But I'm going to suspect that our oil transfer tube again it's either come off or something. I don't know. But of course we didn't try to start it back up without any oil pressure. So there's something going on with the pump. Maybe the pump has failed. Remember, it's the Melling high volume Hemi oil pump for the early 5.7. I also think our lifters, when we pull these valve covers off, we think those lifters, and it could be oil pressure related, I don't know, but I would think 70 pounds, up there at 5,800, it should be enough to keep those things pumped up. And that might have been an issue. Third, we've got oil reversion coming up all inside this intake manifold. This thing, for some way, I think, was sucking oil, and it was affecting big time in our chambers. Now, here's what I think. Obviously, the oil transfer tube or something in that oil circuit. Number 2, we've either got something valve guide issue where it's leaking oil down past the valve guides, or we've got some rings that something's not right about the rings. What's weird is it smoked at first, but after he made like 3 or 4 pulls, it stopped smoking. It was like it picked up power. It's like the rings broke in. You guys know better than I do. I don't know. When we put these pistons in, they were freaking tight. This is the most difficult engine I've ever had. And I used the sleeve to put a set of pistons in. It's so tight. So we're going to tear this thing down. We're going to share with everybody what we find. And we're going to fix this thing. And we're going to throw the kitchen sink at it. And once we're done and we're confident, we'll test it on the test stand to make sure everything's copacetic. Because now he's got a good tune in the Terminator, I'm more confident. I feel safe running on the test stand. But we're going to get into this thing. We're going to share with everybody what we find. So, again, that's why we dyno them. It doesn't go into the car until it passes a rigorous dyno test. So, this is my first. It's probably, I had a 409 Chevy that I had to fight because I had to learn my way because it had such a different oiling circuit. All right, so the oil tube's still intact right here, so that's probably not good news. But look at this. I can get my feeler gauge in. This is 8 thou. I can get it in around here, and then this is what something I was concerned about. I can't get it in right over here. I don't know if I get anything in that side. So did this thing not fit like it's supposed to? Here's 5. Yeah, I mean, I can even get 5 thou in there, but I can't over here. So is this tube warped enough, or I don't know. I mean, I think that could possibly cause some leak, especially at that RPM. Biggest thing is, why do I have 0 oil pressure? So we're gonna probably get ready to turn this thing over. So let's see what happens. Okay, here's one smoking gun. Looks like we had a head gasket failure. Looks like number 2 probably wasn't firing. Water poured out of this thing, and I don't know why we didn't see it on the dyno, but that definitely water poured out of here, and I need to know why. I need to know why. This was definitely a head gasket, and I didn't have water in the oil. We changed it. Didn't see any water in the oil. So when Trish and I just took this cylinder head off, water poured out of here. What was going on? Look at this. Obviously, this is what happens. Something was not happy. You can tell we were, that cylinder was dead. Or at least it was firing, but not doing a very good job of it. So we're gonna keep going down. We got two issues, well, maybe 3, I don't know. But the only thing I can say is this head gasket, look, why was it doing that? Look over here. It's got the imprint everywhere. And I do not know. But did I not torque it properly? I used ARP's directions, but did I not torque this thing properly? It's possible. I would say, I'm going to say that somehow, some way, I may have messed up on the value or done something wrong here, but this is our performance problem here. Definitely an issue. So we're going to keep going. We're going to go ahead and pull the pan here in a little bit because we got to figure out why the damn oil pressure just stopped. So we're going to keep going, but definitely found a red flag. All right, folks, although I didn't have water come out on this side, I think we had a head gasket failure on both sides because number 1 and number 7 are way too clean. And then you look at this valve here, this chamber, something was going on. So at least one of these cylinders, obviously on the passenger side, yeah, we had something going on with our head gaskets. I'm gonna say to have a head gasket on both sides do that, I'm gonna say that's probably installation error. I need to figure out what I did wrong. That's the issue. We're gonna turn it over, but yeah, I think it didn't go into the oil circuit. It must have been pushing it out the exhaust because we changed the oil while we were there. Obviously, because we had to cut the filter open, we didn't see anything in it, and the oil looked beautiful. It was there was no milkshake, so it must have failed on somewhere around the exhaust, or somehow it's pushing out the exhaust because it wasn't getting in the oil in our oil system. So yeah, that's a big one. Okay, I found that this was loose, but it's not gonna, it's still tight as hell. So, yes, this is another mistake. I probably should have torqued it to a higher value. So this would have probably eventually just fallen down, but this doesn't explain our oil pump issue. while we lost our oil pressure. So now we're going to take this tube off, and we're going to see if there's something going on in this tube, perhaps. Don't know. Just remove the oil transfer tube, and I don't see anything here. I'm not seeing anything. I mean, this thing was sealing like it was supposed to. I want to say most part. Now, here is one part. See, it fits nice and snug around the oil transfer tube. It's set nice and snug in there. So, again, when this was sitting in here, and I can put my feeler gauge around this side over here, but that's not enough for it to lose oil pressure just all of a sudden after we killed it. So, after we turned the engine off, and then we went to check the valve train, see what kind of oil we were getting up top. All of a sudden we weren't getting anything, and then what happened? So I guess we're going to take this oil pump off and see what's going on. Okay, I think I know what happened. This is the first part that created our issues. Remember I talked about the oil pressure going up and then diving or coming down and then coming back up? Well, we took our pump off, and I really didn't see anything wrong with the pump. Now, I haven't taken it apart yet, but, and again, I mentioned when we changed the oil, it was nice, but there was no milkshake anywhere. I mean, we poured it all out right there on the dyno, took the filter apart, cut it apart, everything was good. So here's what I did. I'm pushing air through the oiling circuit here where the pump pushes it through the block. These are where, on these Hemis, it oils from the block to the head, right here. This is your oiling circuit. Now, watch if I do this. That's milkshake. You see that? That's water. That is water in our oiling system. Yep. Now, why I didn't see it? Oh yeah, pure water. So I think what happened was at the very end, it sucked enough water into the pump where the pump could no longer do its job as far as, it couldn't build any pressure, obviously, with water. That oil became so thin. That's what was going on. So that contributed to everything else. I thought I had a broken ring. I thought I'm thinking the worst, but yeah, it's hard to get horsepower when you're running on 6 cylinders, because this one wasn't doing much of anything. This one wasn't doing much of anything. Actually, probably 6.5. So I think we found our smoking gun. Now I need to figure out how and why I didn't seal here when I torqued these down. And I remember torquing these, they're torque to yield. I thought they were torque to yield, I can't remember, but we're gonna damn sure find out. This makes me feel, so folks, this makes me feel a lot better, okay? I was ready to pull the whole thing down. We looked at the rods, there's nothing there. It all looks good. The engine was smooth as hell. No knocks. It's just when we finally started getting that ticking, I think that's when it picked the water up. And those lifters obviously probably don't appreciate water either. That's what was going on. So yeah, y'all tell me what you think. Tell me what your thoughts are. But yeah, it is full of water in there. So yeah. Thanks everybody for joining. This is good news for Trish and I. We're probably gonna get some new head gaskets, and then I'm gonna do my research on these studs again. And if I have to get new ones, that's what we're gonna do. But this isn't gonna be as it's not gonna be as costly as I thought it was gonna be. This makes me feel a lot better, and it shows you how important it is to make sure that you do the right thing on that head gasket when you're torquing these things. You gotta pay close attention. I did a Cleveland once, And on the Clevelands, I had to learn the hard way that there was and it didn't say, there was something about it so easy to get them backwards, and I got them backwards. And that was a learning lesson on those Clevelands. And then on this Hemi, I'm going to do a lot of research. Yeah, please, hey, y'all tell me there's something I need to know when you're talking heads on these Hemis, as far as these are ARP studs. It's all ARP. But you guys tell me, hey, what I did wrong, or your comments. I really appreciate it because I read all of them. But that makes me happy. I wish I would have done it right the first time, but learning lesson here for Darren. So, folks, I hope y'all have a good day. I hope y'all got something out of this, and I promise you, this bad boy's going back together, and it's going to go back together. And like I said, we're throwing the kitchen sink at it, but I'm pretty excited to finally figure that out. And you're going to see it back on the dyno as soon as we can get our appointment back down there at Coons Performance. So hope everybody has a good day. Thanks, everybody.